Hey, this is Matt and Chip again, pro staff of thermalhunting.com. And Chip, I know you've been doing pretty well lately hunting. I mean, what kind of, you've been using prey distress or howls? What you been doing?
Well, Matt, it's breeding season, so I've been using more howls, especially to start off stands, like a lone howl. Like an example would be the MFK Come Here Lonely Howl. It's a good, strong vocal that gets out there. And then I'll wait a few minutes, and then if nothing shows up or answers me, then I'll roll into that one, the MFK sound that you showed me.
Yeah.
Fireball, big girl, happy pair.
Happy pair. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. And so then I'll roll into that, and if they don't respond to that, and I'll wait a few minutes after I've run that series, which is about, what, 30 seconds?
Yeah, about something like that.
And then I'll wait, because sometimes they'll just come in without making themselves known. And then after about 5 minutes, if they don't see anything, then I might go into some breeding sounds like bump and grind, something like that, or
I think they got hot sauce out now. MFK does Humpty Dumpty, stuff like that for those same breeding. Those are new breeding sounds they have out. So, yeah, so those work good as well.
And I haven't checked those out yet, so I need to.
Are you finishing any dogs with prey distress?
Sometimes, yes.
Yeah, as far as getting them to come on in and finishing off the dogs that way, because I have a lot of luck doing that as well.
Yeah, sometimes I'll use that Mr. McCottontail on the Fox Pro. And if, like I've said before, if I've got eyes on one out in the field, I'll turn that Vol Squeaks on and just increase the volume a little bit until he can hear it. And then that usually gets them coming.
Yeah.
I mean, they hear that Vol Squeak.
Yeah. Well, good deal, Chip. So I have a lot of people, that call and ask me from time to time. They want to know what people use that are successful out coyote hunting. And we want to ask Chip today, what he's using out coyote hunting. So Chip, if you don't mind, if you could go over your setup with us and just tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, I've got, the Warrior tripod. I've got, this is the 3-section tripod that if you want to hunt from a stool, you can just, take up the legs.
Yeah, but you're standing up.
I'm standing up just like I am right here. And I'll usually I'm standing on the right side of my gun like this when I'm hunting. And so I've usually got the gun out here. For safety reasons, we don't have a magazine in and the bolts open.
Right.
I'll stand right here when I'm scanning, and I've got my scanner on a lanyard. So while I'm calling, I've got my scope on. I've got my remote in the other hand, like this. And some guys will wear the remote around their neck.
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
I don't like doing that.
Yeah,
because you have this.
Right.
And so when you drop this to get
make
behind
it
the
clank
gun,
together.
Yes,
I got you.
Exactly. So usually I'll have on a pair of pants, and I'll wear everything dark because it's at night, and I'll have a pocket on my side, on my leg, and I'll just slip this in the pocket when I'm not using it, or if I've got eyes on some and they're coming, I'll turn off. I'll usually mute the collar, slide this into the pocket, and then once that's in the pocket, and I'm down off my scope, my scanner, and I just get on the gun like this.
Right.
And then you can get on them and can zoom with this. I'm using the Pulsar.
Right.
And
yeah, you're using the Pulsar 1024 resolution.
Yes.
So that gives good video, and you're using the Warrior tripod, and you're using the Chief leveling head. Is what you prefer that over the ball head.
Yes.
Now tell us a little bit about this gun you're using.
Well, it's a gun that I had made at Precision Tactical over in Hoover, and I've got there's a JP barrel in it. It's a 16-inch barrel. I didn't want a long barrel because I walk a lot.
Yep.
And I'm trying to lighten my load.
Feel the same way. And plus a suppressor kind of adds length, and you don't want a barrel way out here. I get that too.
Yes.
Some guys do, but some guys don't.
Some guys do. And actually the way I stand my gun up behind my seat in my truck using a certain stand, my barrel will be too long.
Yeah. Yeah, now Chip hunts with a Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah.
And I do too. Now in the bigger trucks, you can have those long guns, but especially in my Tacoma, just like yours, the shorter ones work better.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yes.
But so tell us, so this is your favorite gun. So what caliber are you shooting here?
Well, this is a 5.56 wild barrel, but chambered in for .223. So it's a 223, and yes, you can kill coyotes with a
Yeah,
223.
so we know a 223 is not going to be the most popular round to use for coyotes. So I mean, we got to know why does Chip Dillard use the 223?
I use it because the ammunition's readily available. You know, back when
Not super expensive.
not super expensive. You know, back when COVID hit and ammo was hard to get, I was still able to scrounge up enough 223, and for this gun, I'm using the Hornady 55 grain VMAX.
Right.
The 53 grain Super Performance VMAX is just as deadly as the 55. I just run the 55 in this gun.
Yeah. Well, of course, we all get to see your videos, the videos you post, and I really don't see any problem, with the 223 either. It seems like they do pretty well in your videos, and you may have mentioned it. I can't remember, but one thing about it is the low recoil. You may have mentioned that a while ago, but
I did.
That's really important to me. Is that important to you?
Yes, it is, and it has almost no recoil. Now, you have to also consider the fact that it's in this super stable tripod.
Yes.
So there's not going to be much recoil. But when you're sitting there like this, and you got this thing, and you can, I call feathering the turn on this thing on the Chief Leveling head. You could get right on one. If he's standing still, you could quick lock that thing right there and just pull the trigger.
Right.
Now, I don't do it that way,
No.
but Mark showed me that one time. But when you've got this tripod and it's just so stable, there's no recoil.
Yeah.
I mean, very little. Now you still, even with the wrap, you'll get heat coming off this.
Yeah.
And it will affect your visibility just for a quick second.
Right.
Which I think happens on all thermal scopes.
Right.
Would be my assumption.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to mention while we're talking about setup is I want to show you, like, this is the pack I carry. I carry my call in. So I'll have my X24 in here, like that, and I put camo tape on mine. That's just a tape job.
Yeah.
Because somebody's gonna think it was an X2S, but it's an X24. And then in here I'll keep a couple of extra rounds of ammunition, which I've needed a couple of times.
Right.
So I'm running a 10-round magazine with 2 extra rounds in my backpack.
Right.
And then I'll keep 3 AA batteries in here just in case.
Just in case.
For my remote. My caller.
Anything to keep you from being stranded out in the field with because if you lose one crucial part, when you're out there hunting coyotes, you're going to be dead in the water. And
Yes.
you hunt most of the time by yourself.
Yes.
So you don't have a friend to carry anything. So you got to have the bag.
Yes.
So.
And then I'll carry an extra battery for my scanner, and also carry an extra couple of external batteries for my scope. And I happen to have the shorter ones. These are I can't remember the name of them right off the top. It's an AB3 or an APS2.
Gotcha.
And the longer battery's an APS3, which I run, that'll be my first battery to be consumed. Now, it has an internal battery also.
Right.
So you can go but these 1024 resolution scopes eat the battery up compared to the 640s.
Gotcha.
So I keep an extra couple of batteries in here as well. Now, if I know I'm going to do not a very long walk, I'll just, if I've got a good charge on my scanner battery, I'll leave this in the truck because it's just more weight you're carrying.
Right.
But then if I'm day hunting, I'll clip a little 3-legged stool to the back of this, but I don't day hunt much. But then I put this on, and because I'm short, I can't walk a lot with my tripod up. But if you're walking a short distance, I'm walking 100 yards and I see some coyotes, or I know where there's coyotes, then I can.
Yeah, you may just pick it up
I'll just pick it up and walk like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But otherwise, when I'm done with my setup and I'm breaking down, I'll just undo this and then put it on my back like this,
Right.
and then fold this up,
Yeah.
and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
And then I can walk with this and scan while I'm walking, because I have killed them going to and from a stand. So I'll stand like that and walk with this.
Well, Chip, thank you for showing us
Sure thing.
your
Now,
setup. We'll
I want to see your setup now.
yeah, we'll cut for just a minute. We're gonna pull my setup up here, and then we're gonna talk about my setup for just a minute, guys.
All right, sounds great. Okay, Matt, we've seen my setup. Now let's take a look at your setup. So if you could just kind of go over your gun and your tripod setup.
Yeah, so this gun here is a Christensen Arms MPR that I purchased last year, and Thunder Beast Magnus suppressor that I got from thermalhunting.com. So if you want one like that, you can check with them, and they have a lot of suppressors, as a matter of fact, as you can see behind us. So, but anyway, yeah, and guess what this caliber is? Same as yours, 223.
223.
I'm a 223 guy as well. I want low recoil. If I have multiple dogs out there, I don't want to be thrown off into oblivion, with a lot of powder. I want to be able to get right back on the dogs or the cows. And as far as scope here, I have the iRay 75 millimeter. It's the iRay hybrid, and it's my favorite out right now. The image is awesome. I love the image. I think it's unbeatable. I've looked through just about every scope there is, and the image is fantastic. So it's the one I like. I have more at home, but this is the one that I choose to be my lead scope going into this season. It will be. So, of course, I have my trusty sling that matches the scope.
And you're using a bolt.
Yes, it's a bolt.
Gun.
So, in the past, I have loved, the AR platforms, but, I am slowly switching over to all bolt guns. It's just what I'm growing to love.
Yeah.
So, I've still got my trusty ARs at the house. They're semi-retired, hanging on the wall, but they're there if I need them.
Yeah. And you, obviously, if you're using a bolt gun, you've gotten very good at cycling the bolt very fast.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys, when they first go to a bolt, forget to cycle the bolt.
Yeah.
And they're still squeezing.
Yeah.
But when I went to Canada with a bolt gun, I learned, you cycle real quick.
Right. Yeah, you're right. That hasn't been a problem for me. Every once in a while I forget to take the safety off before I shoot.
Yeah.
Every once in a while. So
better to have that happen than to have your safety off and something bad happen.
well, that's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. And that's another thing, I hunt with Kerry Ziegler a lot, and we're really vocal around each other about the safeties, because we do want to be safe. Of course, I'm using the Warrior tripod, my favorite tripod, 3-section. I'm gonna tell you what, Chip, I sit down most of the time when I hunt, and I like a tripod chair. I call it a fancy tripod chair because it has a back on it. And a lot of times we'll stay at a farm a long time. We don't run and gun. We're trying to control coyotes at a certain place. We're not trying to put up numbers in a night necessarily, just trying to control coyotes.
Yeah, you're
and
trying
I'm gonna
to help
stay
that
on
farmer.
location.
Yeah.
We're hunting with a purpose. We're gonna try to stay on location, and I'm gonna sit down and relax. And I'm gonna have a good time. So I'll let this 3-section on down. And I'd also like to show you guys the handy little strap that I have on my tripod. So
Yeah, I was curious about that. You going to show us how you use that?
we break this tripod down, and I'll give that to you.
All right,
Stand in
sure.
the corner. And we get this Warrior tripod up here, and I'm gonna let these legs up, and we're gonna get ready to pick up and go to the truck. And I'll just pull this up, and this will fit right over my shoulder and right over my head. And I'm carrying this out. My gun is the same way over on this side.
Over on that side.
I'm walking out just like this,
So
carrying
you
my
crossed
tripod.
over. Let me here, show me how you put so you'll put your tripod on first, and then your gun.
And so I'm walking out like this.
Yeah.
Now, I do have a call or something, or a chair or something in this hand. I can put my chair over too.
Yeah.
But what this does is it frees up a hand for the all-important scanning that we need to do. So if whoever's with me can't scan, I always can, because I do keep this hand free for scanning at all times. That's why I want the strap on the tripod.
Yes. That's a good setup right there. I like that.
Yeah. And I wish I could remember who I bought this from. I can't, but I will find out. But, I bought this from someone that actually makes them, and they are really handy. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made for hunting coyotes. So,
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
yeah.
And you probably were like me in that you used a ball head before you ever went to the chief leveling head.
I did. The first thing I ever used on when I bought a decent tripod was a ball head, with a little knob on the side. And for me, there's no comparison. The chief leveling head, it's just so easy to use.
I agree. I was resistant to go to that at first. Mark
was too.
Mark said,
new,
try it. And I said, I like my ball head. I like it because I knew because in the dark, you can't see, so you're going off. Everything's off feel, and so you know where the knobs are.
Yeah.
That was a hard push for me, but once I did it, it was like I can't imagine ever going back.
Speaking of not being able to see, do you wear anything at night for some kind of light or something like that?
Yeah, I do wear I'll show you what I wear. In the warm months, I'll wear like this just to keep my light from rubbing my head. So in the warm months, I'll put this on like I wore it last night because it was a warm night. And then I'll have my headlight like this. And so then I can go from, this particular light, I can go from red to white.
Yeah, so walking in, do you have that on?
No, I don't have it on. The only time I use my light is when I'm retrieving, recovering.
Yeah.
Or if I get to a gate and I can't, in the dark, figure out where the latch is or where the chain, how it's connected, I'll just flip on that red light. And then, you can make it brighter, but when I'm looking for blood or doing recovery, I'll use the white light. Okay. And then when in the cold months, I'll use a warmer hat like this.
Right.
And I don't use a build hat. I don't know why guys hunt at night with a build hat, but
yeah.
And then for gloves, I use just a thin pair of gloves where I've got, the finger, my shooting fingers exposed.
Even in the summertime, you said, and then maybe in the wintertime, you may stick a hot hands up in there with you.
Yeah, I'll put like a hand warmer up in the glove, in the palm of the glove. If it's really cold, it's got to be really cold for me to do that. But I like to have gloves that have the finger exposed and the thumb. Now on my other hand, I'll keep that. As sometimes I'll flip that down and keep that covered.
Right.
But you don't wear a headlight?
No, I don't. A lot of times if I usually don't use a light walking in. And sometimes I may, but usually I don't. And, I usually just use a cell phone light for recovery. We do use the lasers on our guns, to pinpoint dogs if we're out recovering dogs. And so, but, there's been times when one might get away from us a little bit, so we'll, get a stronger light and when we go to look for that dog. So,
yeah. And it's I don't know if you found this to be true, but usually, this was more so when I first started night hunting, the dogs typically are farther out than I think they are if I can't find it. If I can't find it, I just got to keep going because I'm not saying every time. I'm saying 4 out of 5 times they're farther out than where I initially thought they would be.
Yeah. Well, there's been several videos I've watched of yours where I'm like, wow, I can't believe he found that one, but you seem to be pretty good at it.
Well, it's sometimes now I will say this, to that point, sometimes I've had to go back and download the video off my scope to my phone.
To see where it ran to.
To see where it is. And then what I'll do is I'll be looking at the video in my phone and I'll pick out a tree or something that's as a landmark behind where the coyote went down. And then I can just sit with my scanner and go, okay, that tree right there, I got to walk to that tree.
Right.
And that I usually find them that way. Now, there's been a couple times when I haven't found them. But.
Yeah. Well, Chip, thanks for telling us about your setup today.
Yeah.
And we hope you guys enjoyed it, seeing what we hunt with. Like I said, here at thermalhunting.com, you can see behind us, they have suppressors here. They have a lot of this equipment that Chip and I use. They have guns here. If you don't like 223s, they have lots of other calibers as well. Some upper end stuff, really light. So you can check with thermalhunting.com. Thank you guys. We'll see you later.